Welcome to the Boomer Briefing Podcast, where we help you solve a critical business issue in 20 minutes or less. I'm your host, Jon Hubbard, shareholder and consultant here at Boomer Consulting. And with me today is Heather Robinson. Heather, thank you for being on this episode of the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Jon.
Absolutely. Heather is our marketing manager, and most of her time is actually spent behind the scenes building out marketing strategy, leading our marketing team, shaping our messaging, influencing pretty much everything within our organization. But many of you are starting to see more and more of her out, whether it's serving on committees through the Association of Accounting Marketing, whether it's maybe doing more podcasts or videos. So we're getting a lot of her knowledge out in the marketplace now as well. So Heather, I'm really excited to speak with you about the topic of incorporating marketing in the client experience. I think you would agree that marketing no longer in firms is tucked away in an office off to the side, or if it is, that's not where it should be. It is truly a function that is integrated through all things throughout the firm. Client experience is no exception to that, and in a lot of ways is actually a highlight of marketing's role in that. So I want to start with a question for you, Heather, of why is incorporating marketing important to the client experience a firm is delivering to their clients?
I think so many times people think of marketing as just bringing on new clients, and it's so much bigger than that. If it's just, bringing in new clients, there's so much of the longevity of the client's experience with you that happens after they sign on the dotted line. So bringing in clients is important, but what is your firm's marketing department doing after they sign on the dotted line? What are they learning about you? How do they go through their onboarding with you? What content are they reading that helps the longevity of their life and growth with you? There's just so much more that goes into it than just the beginning of them becoming a client.
Yes. And I think for our listeners, that's actually really, really great news. Kind of the point you're highlighting there, that because, honestly, attracting new clients takes a unique approach. It is sometimes feels not as, driven by what you can influence, but more about organic referrals and things of that sort. But what's the intentional strategy, the proactive intentional strategy marketing can help shape to your current client base? And I was just speaking at a conference the other day, Heather, where we were talking about this. And when firms really start to get their arms around client experience with their current clients and shaping what that process looks like, we see that a lot of the growth they experience after that first year is coming from current clients, right? I mean, they're largely untapped. And so there's so much work firms can be delivering for them. So I love that you highlighted kind of what happens after they become a client.
Yeah, there's so many studies out there right now, and I can't remember the exact number or anything like that off the top of my head, but I think it costs about 6 times more to attract a new customer than it does to retain and grow an old one. So if you put more of your resources in making your current clients successful and growing your business with them, you're going to be more successful. Your clients are going to be more successful because they're growing their business along with you growing yours. So it's a beautiful cycle that's going on, and you can see your clients grow as you watch yourself grow as well.
No, and that's so great. And I think you and I are both hearing, whether it's in our marketing circle that I know you're a part of and that I help facilitate, or whether it's some of the engagements we're on, most firms don't feel like they need more clients. They need more of the right clients. And so I think this relates to that as well, where you have these current clients. Well, how do we turn them into more of the right client that we want? So I think you're making some good points there. So when you think about a marketing department or a marketing leader, what are some strategies you're seeing that marketing is helping to create to impact the client experience within firms?
There's so many different strategies that we can use. And some of the big ones, obviously goes back to content. It also goes back to our tech stack that we have. There's various things along the way that we use to make sure that they have the best experience with our firm. So as it comes to content, developing content for existing customers and making sure that they have information that makes them successful with you. So, whether that's content for onboarding new clients, whether that's, updates to your clients about firm news or new service offerings. It gives clients a chance to essentially connect with you, ask questions, share their experiences, because the more that you know about your clients, the more successful you're going to be as you service the needs that they need met. So creating strategies around making sure that you have content, current content, and even taking those ideas in when you kind of see them is really important. There's a lot of tools that we use as marketers, and so many of those tools have the most amazing AI. And if you just dive into those tools and see what information you can gather with them, it can help you really grow, create the right content, and make sure that you're interacting with your clients in the right way. As it comes to those technologies and the AI, your clients are telling you, they're putting the information out there of what they need, what they're learning. It's what they interact with when it comes to your content. That's going to really help you stay on top of things and build the right content for the future to make sure that they're getting their needs met.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff there, Heather. So let's touch on those. What I heard you say about the content piece is essentially developing content for all stages of the life cycle of a client. As we work with marketing departments, marketing leaders, there is such a focus on that, what we would call top of the funnel content. How do we create content that attracts people to our firm, that gets them to stop scrolling on Facebook or LinkedIn and then to click on the article? And that stuff, we would agree, is certainly important. But I love what you're highlighting there about what type of content would a business owner that's a client of yours benefit from seeing at year 2 of working with your firm, right? What's that type of content that they would really benefit from seeing that could make their life easier, help grow their business, and potentially generate new services for your firm or connect them to additional services in your firm? So I don't think we as a profession are thinking enough about content at all life cycle stages of a client.
Yeah, I think so often we focus on what content can we use to sell. It's content about, whatever service it is that you have. We want to get out the information about that particular service, but we rarely talk about how to grow that service, how to expand on that service, or even just what information they need to be a more successful business owner. And I think when we start focusing on those, different pieces of content or different pieces of information that our clients need to be more successful, the better off we'll be.
Yep, so true. And then the second thing you said was around the tech stack. I was working with a firm, or am working with a firm, on developing their client experience. And I remember being in a conversation, and there's multiple departments being represented on that team and in that conversation, including the marketing person. And we were at a point in the conversation where we're talking about the tech stack being used from the multiple departments with regards to receiving client files. You know, client files provided by a client. And in that conversation, we saw that there were three different tools being used. So one client, depending on the number of services they were utilizing, could be using three different tools to send their information in. And guess who it was that spoke up, that said, is that creating the right client experience? It was one of the marketing leaders in the firm. And so I think what you're highlighting here, Heather, is that as you build out your tech stack, as you think about your tech stack, you need to be thinking about it from the client's perspective, what it's like to be a client receiving those emails or logging in or having, all those different avenues in which they have to navigate in order just to do business with you. So does your tech stack make it easier for the client to do business with you? Or does it make it maybe easier for the firm, but more complicated for the client? And then the third thing you highlighted, or did you have something to add to that, Heather?
Yeah. And I think one thing to highlight is, having that system, and a lot of times it's a CRM system, that client relationship management system. If you have the proper system in place, it's taking in that information from the different systems that you use. So you have one centralized place to find that information. Because a lot of times, especially when you're onboarding a client, you have multiple people reaching out to that client to make sure they're getting the information that you need to be more successful. You have your marketing information going out through an automation system. You might have multiple people working on the same account. But if you have that system that's tracking all those, it's very easy to go in there and seeing where that communication's coming out of. So you make sure that you're getting, the right message out to them at the right time. They're not getting clobbered with a bunch of emails. It makes it really easy to see what's going on with that client.
That's great. And as much as I liked your first 2 points, I think your point number 3 might be my favorite, actually. And that is, and I'm going to summarize what I believe you said is, if you have that client experience dialed in, then you never have to create a new service from scratch again. You never have to be left guessing what the client might be wanting or what they might be needing. You said clients will be telling you what they want or showing you what they want. And I think that is a really important point and I think that's a point that's often overlooked when people think about client experience, is you never have to pull the service out from thin air again and see if the market wants it, because you're so in tune and so connected to your clients. They're having such a great experience with you that's tailored for them, that just organically you never have to hard sell again a service. Is that what you're seeing out there as well?
Yeah. I think, with the use of AI and, we're marketers, we track information of what our clients are interacting with, and they're telling us what they want to read, what they want to see. You can track all those analytics. And if you track those and then you start to, micro segment your clients, you can get the right information to the right people because they're telling you what they want.
Yeah, that's great. Kind of seeing their behaviors. So I love that you're using not just the conversations you're having with clients in terms of that experience, but also some of that data that's being generated through their interactions with your content, with your website, with maybe some of the tools you're using. That is informing you as well. Excellent point. Okay, so have you seen, as we think about firms that are doing this, and we know some firms are further ahead in this area than others. Anything else you want to highlight about the types of results firms should anticipate if they have their client experience kind of dialed in and marketing is a part of that?
Yeah, I think you're going to see yourself be more successful. If you focus on your clients and the problems your clients are having, because how do I say it? Your clients are buying solutions to their problems. And the experience that they have while they're solving their problem directly affects those interactions that they're going to have with your firm. So if they interact and they grow with you, they refer your services, I don't know. There's so many ideas, Jon.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, I think you're touching on it in the sense that, clients do buy the solutions to their problems. As we talk with firms, we're trying to change the mindset in firms that, hey, clients aren't buying hours from you. They're not buying time from you. They're buying solutions to their problems. Okay. And honestly, that's what we do when we go shopping for services as well. And our clients are no different. So then the question begs, well, how does client experience fit into that? And what you started to touch on, and you're right, there's so many options out there, or so many benefits, to doing this. But if they have a great experience with you, they're going to be more likely to refer you. Okay. So that's one result people are seeing, that, wow, our referrals are increasing because of that, and I think that's really important. You touched on a couple of the other ones too, right? They're telling us what new services they need. And that's really vital to our business and to our ability to continue to improve the lives of our client. And something we actually haven't touched on here as it pertains to client experience, in terms of kind of what types of results firms should anticipate, is this whole conversation around employee retention, retaining your high performers. And the more you dive into client experience, the more you realize and see firsthand that what's best for the client often results in what's best for your employees: more interesting work, higher value work, more strategic relationships, right? And that's where your best employees want to be playing. And that's where your clients want to be as well. And so you're right. There's so many directions we could take this, but I think those are a few that are important to maybe have us highlight here. So as you think about, because Heather, on this podcast, we always ask, how is this topic related or relevant, I guess, to outside our profession? Sometimes our profession can be a little guilty of maybe just focusing specifically within our walls, right? What are other firms doing? But really, how is this topic of client experience, especially with marketing as it relates to it, impacting other professions, or just maybe what's a global perspective around this?
I mean, I think it's so relevant because talking to our clients in a way where we're learning about them and making them the focus is something that's happening across the board as marketers. Taking into consideration what they're looking for, what their patterns are, how they interact with you. I mean, those things are all stuff that marketers are doing everywhere. And I think we kind of touched on it earlier about how clients are buying solutions to their problems. That's happening everywhere. I think, the previous couple years have really put a focus on, it's more about how we feel. It's not necessarily about the cost of the service or, what the outcome is. But if you're making me feel good, then I want to buy your service, because I want that life. I want to be happy. I want my problem solved, but I want somebody to truly listen to me. And I think as we focus on the client experience, in accounting firms, as well as we see it happening all over, the more we focus on our clients, the better that experience is going to be, and the more they're going to grow with us.
I think that's great. And I think we would agree, as marketing professionals and as we kind of work with firms, the competitive landscape is not becoming less competitive, it's becoming more competitive, right? And so there are more and more organizations that are trying to offer services similar to CPA firms, whether it's wealth management companies hiring CPAs or whether it's banks trying to get involved, or now we got some private equity in the conversation. There's all sorts of things happening in the competitive landscape. And I think what you're highlighting is one differentiator can be that experience that is tailored to how do clients feel right at each stage of working with us. And if we can improve how they feel, well, we're going to be able to get more referrals out of them. We're going to be able to deliver better services. We're going to be able to retain those clients and grow those clients, and all those upsides we were talking about previously. So Heather, we're getting to the end of our episode here. I want to ask you one more question, and that is, for our listeners, what's the first step someone can take, or maybe the next step someone can take in this area of client experience?
I think the big thing, especially marketers, the big thing you can do is take a look at your client's life cycle, and then take a look at what content you're currently building and creating within your firm, and see and make sure that you have content that takes you through the life cycle, not just the beginning. Because the thing we've touched on a lot in this conversation, Jon, is that marketing to existing clients is so often overlooked, but it can have a tremendous impact on your bottom line. I mean, it takes less effort than getting new clients. And if you take that content, create that content, and have it directed towards the right clients in the right ways, you can achieve really, really meaningful results, and you can grow.
That's great, Heather. Well, as always, it's a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for being on this episode of the podcast. And for our listeners, we release new episodes every Tuesday morning. This episode, right, is about client experience, maybe growth. Next topic might be around technology, leadership, process, all sorts of things. But the common theme is they're all critical to your firm's success. So please go ahead and subscribe. And thanks again, Heather.